Hey everyone, Paul here, and I want to talk to you about Amazon's stock price in the last 12 months. They're up over 80% in that time frame. They've been a big winner from the COVID lockdowns, the stay-at-home, which has already accelerated an already fast-growing e-commerce space. So even more people have been ordering even more things on Amazon.com, and it's just been great for their business. It's been great for their web service. I mean, really, Amazon has been a huge winner. But what I want to talk to you in this video is not a deep dive into Amazon stock, but I just want to walk through the price multiple of Amazon and understand how that has changed and how that has also contributed to the growth in the stock price. Because when we look at it, if we understand how much sales a company has in a given year, and we understand how much investors are willing to pay for those sales, we can understand what the stock price is. Looking backwards, it's easy to calculate, but looking forwards, of course, that's the art and the struggle of investing, is understanding what those sales are going to be and how much investors are going to pay for them. Now, in Amazon's case, they were historically averaging in the past couple of years before the pandemic about a little over 3 times sales. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I have this chart I put together. So we've got this graph showing the change in the stock price from December 2015 to most recently. So we see the stock, was around, about $600 a share back in 2015, and now, they're up over $3,000. So we see in this blue line, again, this really strong growth in the stock price. Really solid returns there. But we also see this red line, and this red line is the multiple that investors are willing to pay for sales. And we can look at this by checking out the axis on the right, and we see that recently, so before the pandemic, investors again were paying a little more than 3 times sales. On average, it was about 3.3. With the pandemic, they are now paying, if we take a look at this, they are paying 4.9 times sales. And again, when you're paying more for sales, what you're saying is that you think that the consumer behavior in this case, the fact that more people are buying things online at Amazon, that you're thinking that a lot of that behavior is going to be in place. So you're going to pay an even higher premium for every dollar of sales that Amazon generates. Now, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that this multiple is going to remain elevated, right? I mean, there's a lot of times where you can talk about reversion to mean, and I feel like a reversion to average, and I think that that's a case that could likely happen here. So you have to wonder and kind of ask yourself when you're looking at this, well, what would happen to their stock price if the price investors are willing to pay for their sales goes back down to a historical level? Okay, that doesn't mean that it's going to go back to where the stock was trading, because their sales are higher. So that 3.3 multiple that it's been averaging from 2016 through 2019, that would just get multiplied by whatever their most recent sales are. So there still would be growth in the stock for that reason. But again, how much is from the multiple? How much is from the revenue increase? Well, I wanted to take a look at that, and I put together this decomposition. So this takes a look at, in red, is how much in the last 12 months, in terms of their share price for Amazon, how much of it was due to the increase in the multiple, going from that 3.3 average to 4.9, and how much was just the rest of it? How much would Amazon be trading at if they had their trailing 12-month sales, but at the 3.3 multiple? Well, in that case, their stock would be $2,278. It's getting that additional $1,048 from that increase in the multiple that, again, investors are willing to pay, that price to sales multiple. So that's a pretty big bump there. And again, that question still remains, is that going to remain elevated? Now, I think, in all likelihood, I think that it's going to remain above 3.3 for the next couple of years. I don't necessarily think it's going to stay as high as close to 5. Maybe it kind of pulls back and it's closer to 4. Right? But I think that that's the right thing to be questioning, and the right thing to be understanding is, how is the price to sales multiple fared historically? What do we think is going to drive that and change that going forward? Okay, so now I want to come over here and I want to look at this in table form to kind of walk through some different scenarios, based on how that multiple could change. So first of all, this is going to be walking through from January 27th, 2020, compared to January 26th, 2021 when I'm filming this video. So this walks through and it shows you that about 80% increase in the stock price, and it shows you that on an absolute basis it's about $1,500. It also shows you that revenue increased by 24%, for about $67 billion. Their shares increased slightly, looking at this on a diluted basis. Really, that's just going to be as a result of issuing stock options to motivate the employees to get you to buy more things on Amazon. We can take a look at the increase in the market cap as well as the sales multiple. So the sales multiple, again, increased 46%. So investors are valuing every dollar of sales for Amazon 46% more right now than what they have for the past couple of years on average, right? Going from that 3.3 to about that 4.9. Now, this is the scenario where I said, okay, I'm going to take last year's sales multiple, and I'm going to use, I'm actually going to spell multiple right too. I'm going to use last year's sales multiple, this year's revenue to calculate what the market cap would be if there was no inflation on that multiple. And then I'm going to divide it by the number of shares that are currently outstanding. So again, 504 to 509, that was pretty close, and those are in millions. But we come up with a share price in that particular instance of $2,278, okay? But what we can also do, and I was starting to allude to it, is, what happens with these different multiples? What would their share price be? Well, if it was, again, at that average, it'd be right around that, 2,200 or so. Well, all the way up to, if they were going to be at a 4 times sales multiple, the stock would be at $27.37. Okay, still a high stock price, still a big market cap, still a huge company, right? But even if they actually dropped down to saying that their sales multiple was at 4 times sales, which again would still be much higher than the 3.3 average, their stock price would be 18% lower. Okay, so just something to be aware of. Understand that when you're buying in, that you're paying more for every dollar of Amazon sales today than what you were paying for the past few years on average, and make sure that you agree with that, right? So you absolutely might say, hey, the change in behavior is going to be sustained. You've got no concern about the price multiple being compressed in the next couple of years. Then great, absolutely, roll with that interpretation of the data. My main point of this video was just to help you understand, help you walk through, one of the factors at play here. One of those factors was the inflation in the price to sales multiple for Amazon. So thanks so much for watching.